Flosstube. My name is Cameron. Welcome to a channel where we talk about cross stitch. I go by Cam the Stitcher on here on Flosstube and on Instagram. So if you would like to follow along, please go follow me on Instagram to see some updates, and then hit subscribe here if you want to keep seeing my videos. I talk a lot about cross stitch. I also dabble in some sewing, knitting every once in a while, things like that. I have mostly just cross stitch for you today. I do have a little bit of sewing to show you, and then yeah, I'm gonna go right in. I just like to get into it on this channel. Nothing that exciting in my personal life happens. If there is something, I'll put that at the end of the video, but for now I'm gonna start with some one FFO, which is gonna be a rare occasion on this channel because I really do finish things and it just sits. So, and that's okay. That's my process and you may have a different process. But anyways, I was very lucky. Julie from Kansas City Girl in a Colorado World was working on a new pattern, and it is based off of Pride and Prejudice. This is the second pattern. She has done another one, I believe, from Little Women. I'm not a huge Little Women stan, so I'm not sure, but she had already done that over a year ago or maybe 2 years ago. And so she was itching to crank another one out. So she ended up doing a Pride and Prejudice Sisters pattern, which I live, breathe, and die for Pride and Prejudice as a whole, but especially the 2005 version. So I was really excited, and she sent me the pattern and I got it stitched up before she released it. And then I think the day after she released it, or maybe the day of, I was like, well, I have to fully finish this so that I can show everyone my beautiful project. So here is my FFO, and I have a cat joining me. So she only calls for a couple of, I think like 4 colors of DMC, but I went a little overboard. I will put a picture, I will put a picture over here of what inspired me. I was very inspired by the 2005 film, and I wanted to like capture the colors and the essence of each sister, and so this is what I came up with. Jane is in that blue coat all the time. Lizzie loves a brown dress, and then Mary is always in brown and black, like that's all she wears. And then Kitty and Lydia, I was like not as set on the colors for them, but looking at a lot of the pictures, Kitty does wear like this green and pink number that I really loved, and I wanted pink in this, so I did that. And then same with Lydia, or did I say Kitty? Whatever. Lydia wears a lot of greens as well, so I wanted to put her in that. And yeah, this is stitched on 40 count mallow, and I stitched up the border using the same green as here, and I just pulled from stash. Like, I have a bunch of color and cotton and just random stash threads, so that's what I pulled from. And then I kept with the purples and the flowers, but I just went really ultra light, and I just pulled 2 random DMCs for that. And this is the back. It's beautiful fabric that I had left over from making a dress for my sister a year ago, from the good old Joanne herself. This is my first time making like a pillow like this. I did okay. I could have done worse, and I could have done better. I will say that I just filled it up with polyfill. I don't have like walnut shells or lizard litter, whatever they people use. I just don't have that in stash. I don't have a huge like fully finished stash. I have like scraps of fabric, I have some fat quarters and stuff, but I like to save a lot of that for project bags. And then I have very little like trims or anything of that nature. So I kept it very simple on this. You can, that's a little messy, but who cares? Okay. It's so cute. It's so cute. And I just have this sitting on one of my shelves now with like random objects. I'm really into it. So yeah, so thank you, Julie, for sending me the pattern. And thank you, Bridget. I want to say, Bridget the Museum Stitcher inspired me. She had sent the picture of her fully finished pillow to us in a group chat, and I was like, yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna keep it simple. Julie finished hers as a bookmark, and it's so cute. I think she did a bit of a hem stitch on that, and it's really cute. That is a great idea for the future. So I did have it ironed, but it's kind of crunkled now. But I did actually get another finish in. So I have 2 WIPGO boards. I have one that is like my bigger projects, and then I have one that are smaller projects. Things that I started last year, like I started a bunch of smalls last year and then like worked on them a day or 2 days, and then I didn't touch them. So this is my way of like getting those back out and maybe getting progress or getting a finish out of them. So this was one of the finishes. I started this on my birthday last year in September, and this is stitched on 18 count black Aida. I'm never prepared for this, just absolutely never prepared. Let me get a black project bag. I don't have like a board or anything. Okay. So this is my finish. If you can't read this text, because it is it's very goth. It says, out comes the night. Nope. Let's start that again. Okay. Out comes the night, out comes my knifey. This is how I get home nicely. These are lyrics from one of my favorite bands called Amyl and the Sniffers. I am lucky enough that Sage from Night Spirit Studio is also a big Amyl and the Sniffers fan. They are an Australian punk band, and I got to see them last year up in Maryland in concert, and it was my first concert back since the parsnip. And so I was really excited that this is actually a freebie on Sage's site. And it was inspired by those lyrics, and I was like, well, I have to stitch this because it's iconic. And yeah, so I got this done. When I started, I don't know if I doubt I have a picture, because I've never shown this on my channel, I don't think, or maybe I do, maybe in my whip parade. Let's see if I find that little photo. But basically I had like some of these words, and I had started some of these, and I'd started like the chains down here. So I actually had a lot of work to do on this. It was a lot more stitching than I thought it was gonna be. This chain border took quite literally forever. But it's done. It's done. And I don't know how I'm gonna finish this. I don't know if I want to put it in like a cute little goth frame or figure out something else. I'm not sure yet, but no rush. I'm just happy it's done, and it's super cute. Look at those knives. Don't mind the cat hair, guys. That's just gonna happen. So yeah, I'm really happy with that. And I'm glad I got another finish. Because your girl's got a lot of whips. So that is off of my whip list. Very exciting. What shall I talk about next? So those were my finishes. I am gonna get into, I think I'm just gonna pull from the pile. So I do have I'll have some new starts mixed in with just some whips. So this first whip, I will show you, was in the project bag I was using as a backdrop. This is my Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery Halloween Wreath Stitch Along. This is stitched on 28 count cashel linen in, I think, the color Pewter by Picture This Plus or something like that. I don't remember. So I finished this month's part. I will say, yes, have I committed to too many stitch alongs? Absolutely. But this one, for me, stitches up pretty fast. And it's actually a nice break from my other projects because this is like really nice linen to stitch on, 28 count, 2 strands, like, I don't know, easy stitching for me. And it's fun colors, so yeah. To show you where I was last time, this part was not filled in. So this was the part, they gave us the other half of the bow this time, which I left the bow for last because it's basically fill in. So I did the light purple parts first, and then the rest was just this darker purple. But yeah, this is, I mean, listen, this is easy stitching, no pressure project right here. I'm just gonna keep going as the year goes. I think this should wrap up in, I want to say October or September. I think the last clue they are gonna give you is like just the fully finishing instructions to make this into a pillow. So I'm looking forward to just getting that done in general. The next one I will show you was a new start. This is my Stitch for Pride project this month. After I completed my learning prompts and further reading prompts and all the prompts that Dee gives us for Stitch for Pride each month, I went ahead and started on the Stitchy prompt this month, which was to stitch on something that celebrated Black culture, or stitch on something that was designed by a Black creator, cross-stitch designer. And so I went to Shaded Stitchery's website because Shaded Stitchery has quite a lot of beautiful patterns. I follow them on Instagram, and I really wanted to do this one. I think it's very beautiful. I believe it is called, oh my God, I have my list too, and it's across the room. I think it's called Closely Kept. I want to say #1, and there's a wonderful story behind it. If you buy the pattern, they give you the background, like what it was inspired by, and it's really, really beautiful. And they stitched it on a red fabric using like a maroon floss, and so I wanted to kind of keep to that. And so I had this wine Rit dye dyed Ada in my stash already. That was like the perfect size. And then I'm just using DMC, I think, I want to say 816 maybe. One of those dark maroon colors in that category there. And yeah, this is my progress. I'm probably like 30% done-ish. I started in the middle, and so this is gonna be that big flower part, and then we're gonna have some leaf and stem part here. And I think it's really pretty. I would love to finish it in a similar way that the inspiration, because it was like a 2-part frame, and I don't remember the names for everything, but basically it had a portrait of a young African-American girl, and then on the other side it had this like velvet embossed and it was this flower. And so I would love to finish this in like an oval frame possibly, or kind of, I would like an oval around it. I think that would be really pretty and classy. So that is my Stitch for Pride stitching this month. I'm looking forward to next month. February is a short month. I will tell you that. And I know we all know that, but anyways. So that was one of my new starts. The next thing off the top here, this is one of the stitch alongs I've been working on. This is the Natural World stitch along by Pixel Pixie Cross Stitch. I am not caught up. So I finished last month's, and then this month's part came out and I've only stitched on it a little bit, so I'm not done yet. But I think if I do like 1 or 2 more stitchy sessions this month, if I can fit that in, I could finish it. But here's where I'm at. So this is stitched on 32 count Exotic Orchid Lugana. And let me get you a little bit closer. So this was part 1, and this square that you can see I finished last month. And then this is part 2, and I have finished the entire top border on that, which that's really soothing stitching for me, I'm not gonna lie. It stitches up faster than you think. And also maybe it's just like this Lugana is really easy to stitch on and I'm just like kind of going through it. And then I started on the alphabet and I finished all these bugs. I just need to back stitch them. And then I think the alphabet goes all the way across here. I just need to stitch these lines and then some more motifs down there, but I'm happy with it so far. I think this will be like a cool wall hanging. Definitely not, I don't think I'm gonna frame it. I think it'll be like a cool little tapestry moment. We'll see. Yeah, and I am using Classic Colorworks variegated floss on this, which I do regret, but that's okay. It's called Aura's Iris. I don't regret the color. I don't want to say that. The floss is beautiful, but since I'm stitching this with 2 strands over 2, it is eating up these flosses, because I forget the Classic Colorworks is only 5 yards of floss versus like Leo and Roxy or Color and Cotton, where it's 8 or 10 yards. I can't remember, but yep. So I'm happy with that progress. At least I touched it. I would like to finish it. We'll see. We shall see in 2 weeks when you see me again, but for now I'm cool with that. This next whip, this is what took up most of my time in the past 2 weeks. I know I talked about this last time, but this fabric it's a no purchase for me ever again. Let's just say that. Learn my lesson. So this is the Star Woman stitch along by Barbara Anna. This is a 3-part stitch along. The second part came out in the past 2 weeks, and the third part comes out March 1st. So this will be done in March. So help me God. So I finished part 2. So the last time you saw this, it really just had this part, and then this time I stitched the rocket and then all of this. And it's gorgeous and it's beautiful, and this fabric is, dare I say, slay. It's very purpley. It's got pops of like orangey in here, and it's sparkly. It is opalescent fabric. This is 32 count Da Vinci Lugana by Picture This Plus. The reason I hate this fabric so much, and I talked about this last time, is the weave is absolutely so tight. And I think it also might have something to do with the fact that it is opalescent fabric, that it is borderline impossible to get your needle through it. I'm using a 28, size 28 tapestry needle. That's the thinnest needle you can get, and it is doing nothing for me. I've thought about maybe on part 3 I might have like some thinner sewing needles that are sharp on the end, and like that might be necessary to pierce the fabric. That is where we're at. And does it sound like I'm being dramatic? Yeah. Okay, that's my personality. However, it sucks. I hate this fabric so much. I was on the couch stitching this, and it took me days to get this done. Like literal day. And it's partly because the fabric's so difficult to stitch on, so I'm just stitching slower. But then also, like, I'm taking way longer breaks. Like, I'm sitting there on my phone, you know, like scrolling on whatever. Like, I'm taking breaks from stitching on it. Like, I'm really upset about it because I have this like whole other half, and if there's one thing about me, I am stingy when it comes to fabric and floss. I like to use, like, I'm the person that saves a length of DMC thread or whatever thread this long. Like, I'm tying that back on the bobbin or the floss drop. And so I want to use the rest of this fabric, but like, you couldn't pay me to stitch on this ever again. So I think I'm just going to have to call it a loss, but all of that negativity to say, this is gorgeous. I am loving it. The design is fantastic. I can't wait for the face to come out and part 3 to probably blow my mind. I'm really excited. This was my first Barbara Anna stitch along, so I love it so far, to the effect of the design and the colors, and it's gorgeous. And I know it's gonna look pretty when it's done. I will say my stitches are not the prettiest that they've ever been. Since I'm stitching 2/2, they're very wonky because the fabric is so tight. But I know I wouldn't have liked the coverage of just one strand because this is 32 count, so it should warrant 2 strands. Can you tell I have an attitude about it? Anyways, my next whip is my good old, I love this project bag so much I made, White Winter Moth by Kathy Barrick. This is a stitch along. Megan, the Seattle Stitcher, and I started in January. Hashtag Winter Moth SAL. So if you're stitching on this pattern, if you want to start it at any point, use that hashtag. If you're stitching on any other moth pattern, use the hashtag. I love moth patterns. So yeah, so I worked on this. I think I said this maybe in my last video or a video before that. I'm gonna pull this out every 13th of each month. So on the 13th of each month, I'm gonna stitch on White Winter Moth because I don't want to just like put it away and get nothing done, because I do really like this project. All right, this is stitched on 40 count Chai Love You linen by Fiberlicious Yummy Fibers. And this is where I'm at. So again, I only worked on this one day, so this is not going to get crazy amounts of progress probably each month that I show you, but I'm getting somewhere, right? Like, I finished out this motif. I think I stitched this part and I had like 2 little things there to stitch. I started the moth over here. I got this motif started, got this little guy done and this little guy done, I think. And that is that. So I am very happy with that progress. I love this linen. This might be my favorite linen I've ever, I own. I just really like the color of this, but anyways. So that was White Winter Moth by Kathy Barrick. You will see this come out again in March. Again, I pull this out on the 13th, so it will get progress, I promise, guys. I know, like, some people, you know, they work on the same few projects and it works for them and you get to see their progress. For me, it's gonna be more sporadic because I have lots of whips, but that's okay. I'm happy. I'm chilling. All right, the next, oh, this is the last. Well, no, it's not. I'm a liar. Okay, so this is the second to last project. This is a new start, and you might have heard, you might have happened upon this information, but over on Instagram, a couple of my stitchy friends and I, we wanted to start the Misspelled sampler by Hemlock and Rye Stitchery, which is Julie from Kansas City in a Colorado Worlds cross stitch business. And I had already had this pattern. I had already had it kitted up. I was very excited when it came out. And then we were talking in the group chat and everything, and it was like, some people in the group chat had like missed it or something. And so we were just talking on and on about it. And I was like, I want to start it. Everyone was like, I want to start this, essentially. And so, I went ahead and pulled it out, and I had it, kitted up with a different fabric, but then last month's Bestitch Me, fabric of the month turned out to be perfect for this. So I ended up using that. So I am stitching this on, I believe it was called, I don't have the card with me anymore. I believe it was called Hot Cocoa, 40 count linen by Bestitch Me. And again, this is the Misspelled sampler, otherwise known as Bonds is Roten. And so we're using 2 hashtags over on Instagram if you want to stitch along with us. Number 1 is the Misspelled Sampler Sal, or Misspelled Sampler Sal. I'll put it up here. And then secondary hashtag is Bonds is Roten Sal. So like the name says, the person, the girl who stitched this, had a hard time spelling. So I'm gonna show you my start. That is my start. So I started on the border, and I think I'm gonna keep going on the border. Like we talked about this, it's like I don't love stitching borders, but I do love the colors on this. It's very pretty. But I don't want to start stitching the verse yet, or any of the motifs, because like I'm really looking forward to it. So I kind of want to save it. But yeah, so this is it so far. I love it so much. So the funny thing is you can barely see it in the model, but there is one line of stitching that is surrounding the border. And Megan from the Seattle Stitcher, she was like, oh, I'm not stitching that line. And Julie was like, oh, yeah, no problem. Julie was like, I was debating on whether to stitch it or not on the model. But I showed the pattern to my significant other, and he was like, no, you have to stitch the line. He was like, you have to stitch it. It adds to it. And I was like, all right. And believe me, I'm not one to do as I'm told, but I think he is kind of right. I do like it, and it's one line of stitching, so like, not. Also, like, I'm gonna savor this project for as long as possible. Like, this is, the color palette is really like, I mean, come on. Look at all those pinks and the oranges and the pop of blue and the greens. Okay, so I am stitching this with the called for Classic Colorworks. The only thing I subbed out was the orange. I can't remember what it was. I can't remember what it was called for, but I had this Color and Cotton carving pumpkin in my stash, and it worked perfectly for the border here. So like you can see that's the orange, and then we've got the pop of pink on the tip of that, which I think is cherry tomato, which is this. So yeah, this is a new start. I don't know when you'll see it again. I think like anytime we meet up for like a stitchy Zoom or something like that, or I'm definitely gonna pull this out and work on it during those, but let me tell you, I am behind on my WIPGO and goals in general, so this one's going away for now. Okay. So yeah, WIPGO's not gone great for me because number one, the Star Woman stitch along took days and days and days to get that done. Work's also been a lot busier this month for me. I've got a lot of projects going on, and so it's just been kind of busy, and February is a short month, and like I think I was being unrealistic when I set some goals, which is fine. But this has been eating up my time the past 2 days because I've become obsessed. I debated on whether like showing this in this video. I was gonna maybe wait till my next video, but I just started this not yesterday, but the day before that. But Marjorie from Marjorie Made Stitching, she is starting along with Hannah, and I'll link their channels, both of their channels below. They are starting a full coverage stitch along in March. And so I had already bought this pattern, which I showed last week. It's called Arcadia. It's charted by Heaven and Earth Designs, and the artwork is by Bob Doucette. It is a big pattern. And I don't have any haul for you today. Really, the only thing I got was the fabric for this, which is just a 28 count easy grid Lugana. And I could not wait. I could not control myself, and I did start it the other night. So I am gonna show you this whip. It is messy, but like, don't worry about it. So this is only like 2 days of stitching. Yeah. So I already have 2 Hades going on at the moment that don't have that much progress, may I just say. And I was like, well, I have to start a new one, obviously, for the stitch along. And the other thing is Marjorie and a lot of other creators over here on Flosstube have talked about the method Royal Rose, like parking method for full coverage. And so I kind of wanted to try that because I didn't really use that much of a method with my other Hades. Like, I was kind of traveling a bit. I was parking sometimes. I was not really working in the grids as much. Like, I used them as a guide, but I wasn't working like 1 square at a time by any means. So with this method, and again, please go to, I think the Royal Stitcher has YouTube videos up now explaining it, and there's a Facebook group and all the things, and there are plenty of full coverage stitchers out there, Flosstubers out there that are like practiced at this and can explain it better. But basically you work in the 10 by 20 block, like column here. And so you stitch everything in here, and if the color you have is down here in this column, which is called the dungeon, you park it in this in the dungeon. If this color that you're stitching up here is not in the dungeon, but it is over here in the east tower, you park in the east tower. And then if it's not in either of those, you just end off the thread, right? And so like I have one over here that this is just to end it off thread. And so you keep doing that, and you keep going over, and you work the towers, and then you leave the dungeons parked. And then you go, some people go all the way across their pattern, some people go by page, some people just, like Marjorie was explaining to me because I asked her a billion questions. Marjorie just goes wherever her Q-snap ends. And so for me, I'm probably going to end it over here somewhere where my hoop ends. And then she goes back and starts working in the dungeons, and like doing the same thing over and over again. I don't know if that makes sense. But anyways, so you can see the top of a bubble here. That's something. This is already pretty confetti heavy, if you can tell by the amount of threads. And I will show you my back because I don't know. I think I'm gonna end up, this is gonna get bulky the way I'm doing it, but maybe full coverage stitchers can weigh in. But you can see where I've parked like these other threads, because again, you're working in the towers, you're not working in just squares. So like some of these colors don't show up in this square, but they show up in this square. So then I park it down there. But I feel like that's gonna be bulky eventually. I don't know, who cares? This is fine, this feels fine, like up here. I don't know, we'll see. Yeah, so this is a new obsession. I get it. I get all the full coverage stitchers because I watch a lot of them, even though I'm not like a huge full coverage stitcher myself. I just get it. It's so fun. It's methodical, but enjoyable. I don't know. It's kind of ritualistic. It just is very soothing in a fun, tedious way. So, and maybe that's just me, but yeah. So that is my full coverage start, and that is my last project I have to show you. So I'm gonna talk about my sewing now. So I sewed up a couple of project bags last weekend because I was inspired. Megan, the Seattle Stitcher, was also sewing, and I was like, I have so much stash, and I really need more project bags, and I really need to sew. But I live in a 1-bedroom apartment, and so I don't have like a place to cut my fabric and iron and get my sewing machine out and all those things. So it's just kind of a hassle. But I kind of figured out a system. I have like this dresser over here. I ended up just clearing off the top, putting my cutting board down on it. It's high enough where it's not like hurting. I mean, my back still hurt, but it wasn't too bad. So anyways, I did that, got my sewing machine out on my desk. I think I did all the cutting Saturday, and then on Sunday morning I sewed everything because that's kind of how I like to do it. But anyways, this is the first project bag I sewed up, and this is the worst one. So this was like Singer fabric, I think I got on clearance at Joann's a while ago. This like orange gingham, and then this cute little rainbow situation. This one was just the worst because the vinyl was actually a little too short, but again, I'm stingy. And so I was like, I'm gonna make it work. So I just like folded this side over like 3 times and stitched. And yeah, so it's a little messy and it's a little like wonky, but it's gonna work, and that's all that matters. The next one I sewed, I have like a local fabric store that had some fat quarters I got a while ago and had just in my stash. And so I used up this really cute strawberry fabric, and this I like this green fabric. It's really cute. Yeah, and they matched perfectly, and I used a bright green zipper. So yeah, I'm excited to put projects in these too. This one was also from that same fabric store. They just had really pretty, because you go to like Joann's and I don't know. I mean, it's kind of overwhelming, but in terms of fat quarters, like a lot of those bigger craft stores only have like so much selection. So these were I was happy to find this type of fabric. If you can tell, this, the fabric on the inside actually has the same like pattern as the outside. It's just like monochrome. So, and I just used, if you are a project bag person or you're just starting out, always check the fabric, like the leftover fabric bin where like it's just random cuts of fabric that was left. I ended up getting 20 gauge vinyl on clearance. They had like 2 rolls of it, and it was like perfect it was usable. It was a usable size for project bags. And like, I think I usually use 16 gauge, but 20 gauge worked just fine. So, and listen, I'm here for a deal, okay? And then this one is probably my favorite vinyl front one I did. This fabric is so pretty. And that has like the same as the other one, but it's this like dull chartreuse color. Chartreuse is one of my favorite colors. I'm gonna be honest. If I do ever get married, this is a tangent. If I do ever get married, I'm telling you, my wedding colors, hot pink, hot pink. maybe a sprinkle of lavender in there, and then chartreuse green. I'm telling you, I know you're not seeing the vision like I am, but I am seeing it, and it's in there. Anyways, and then I had some like yard or half yard fabrics, and I went ahead and made some more project bags that are not vinyl front. So I really like this one. This is a really great fall one. And then the lining is that. I've only made one of these types of project bags before because I'm really fast with the vinyl front ones now. But I was like nervous to make another one of these because I am so fast with the vinyl front ones. I was like, I'm not gonna be as good as at this one, but I actually ended up it was much smoother this time around, and I was like, oh, okay, I got it. So I'm really happy with that one. And then this one is my favorite of all time. Oh my God. Can you tell? Can you tell that it's my favorite? Okay, so I used this like gorgeous hot pink moth fabric that has like metallic little dots there. And then I did the pop of the lining at the top here. I followed the tutorial by Elizabeth Ann Can Stitch, of course, because bow down to the queen of sewing tutorials. So I did the pop there, and then so the lining is those little conversation hearts, and those are also metallic, like gold. They're really cute. Ugh. Like this is like, I'm like not gonna put a project in it because I just want to like hold it and just like pet it. Yeah, I said that all out. Anyways, so I'm very happy with all the project bags I got done this past weekend. I felt productive. I think that's it as far as stitching and sewing and all the things go. That is all I have for you today. I feel like I blazed through this and I probably forgot 50 things, but I think it's okay. So if you would like to skip on the book talk, you can go ahead and exit the channel. Please come back. I will see you in 2 weeks with more stitching. And yeah, so bye. But anyways, if you're here for book talk, I've never done this on my channel before, so I'm a little nervous. I'm not a book talk girly, but I have been reading lots and lots. So I'm only going to talk about a few books because I read some not so good ones, and I don't really like, you know, whatever, like not worth covering. But the first one that I read, not the first one of the ones I read recently that I really liked was Mexican Gothic. And of course I don't have anything in front of me written, so I will put the author and the book cover here. This was super creepy vibes. Like if you're into kind of weird mystery, like dark, I don't know. It was like, it wasn't present day. It was set back. It was like kind of a period piece, and it was very like, oh, I don't know how to describe it. I mean, actually I can. It is Mexican Gothic, like in the sense that like one of my favorite types of stories, types of settings in a story and aesthetics is Southern Gothic. Like that's one of my favorite things in the world. And so this was that, but it was set in Mexico, and it was just like the descriptions in the book were really good. Like it had some twists and turns and creepiness and a little bit of romance, and I really, really enjoyed it. And the cover is really pretty, and yeah. And if this is not how book talk is supposed to go, I wouldn't know, but that is just my feelings on it, and I'm not going to give any spoilers, obviously. So that is one of them that I read. The other one I read that I thought was pretty good was The Guest List. And I think it's like by Lucy Foley or something like that. Can't remember. That one was pretty good. I listened to that in like 2 days. I listened to that while I was sewing these project bags. Very much like mystery, whodunit type of story. But there were lots of different characters involved. So each chapter was like following or was narrated by a different character that was on the guest list essentially at this wedding. It took place in like a little small, like very creepy island off of Ireland, I believe. And it was really cool. And it wasn't like the best book I've ever read, but it was like a good, like, gotcha whodunit sort of thing. So I enjoyed it. Good twist at the end, lots of connections made at the end there. The next one that I was kind of surprised I liked a lot, I believe it was called The House Across the Lake, by Riley Sager. This one, and again, to give you context, I have not read books since college. Like, I was an English major. I read lots of heavy, like, classics or, you know, whatever, things that were assigned to me. And I enjoyed a lot of those, but then, like, I got out of college and I didn't want to pick up a book because that was all I did. Like, I read, I discussed, I wrote essays. And so, you know, before that I was reading YA. Like, obviously I was a teenager, so I was reading fantasy and mostly fantasy, like supernatural type of YA novels. And I just, like, didn't know where to begin, but luckily I have a cousin who is really into books, and so I followed her on Goodreads, and my sister has also gotten really into it recently, so I got some recommendations there, and then I finally started watching, like, the book talks on the end of Flosstubes that I normally would just, like, skip on because I wasn't, like, reading at the time. And then the group chat, like my Stitchy friends and stuff, they've given me a lot of really good recommendations as well. So that is just where you have to start, I guess. You just have to, like, talk to people and because it's hard to, like, know what you want to read when I really had not delved into adult, like, fiction, like modern adult fiction. So anyways, so The House Across the Lake was really good. In the beginning, I was like, I kind of didn't like the narrator. It was just, like, a little bit like, okay, like, what's the deal here? I was getting, I don't know, like, I didn't know what to expect. And then, like, the connection that's made, like, the narrator meets this person and it's, like, kind of weird vibes, but also I was like, this is kind of, like, I don't know, like, it's probably just, like, one of those very cut and dry, like, the husband done it sort of things or whatever. And there ended up being, like, this weird twist that came out of nowhere, took the story, like, into another genre, because I kind of thought it was just going to be, like, a mystery whodunit sort of thing again. But this was, like, thriller, like, I don't know. It was super good. The ending was great. I really, really enjoyed it. I was very surprised. So that was a good one. And the last one I will talk about is Delilah Green Doesn't Care. I believe that's what it's called. And again, I'll put the author and the book cover up here. Oh my God. Okay, so I've never read a romance novel, unless you count, I did read Verity by Colleen Hoover last year, which, because my sister was like, it was one of the first books I read last year, finally, like, getting back into it. And my sister was like, you have to read this, like, I need to know your opinion on it. And I was like, okay. And I never read a romance novel in my life, so I was like, what is this? Verity is, like, kind of like a thriller, mystery, suspense romance novel. Like, I don't know. It was trash, I'm not gonna lie. But it was entertaining trash, so, and which I love. Like, I love entertaining trash. But anyways, so I was, like, kind of hesitant, but the group chat recommended this to me, and It is about two ladies that fall in love. And it was, and there's more to it. Like there's like sister, like bonds and like backstory, and it's really heartwarming and like a little cheesy at times and really cute, and I really, really enjoyed it. I like couldn't put it down. It was also, I'm not gonna lie, okay, if you're family and you're watching, like maybe you should have turned it off, but the romance scenes, let's call them romance scenes, the after dark scenes were quite good. It was just a really nice story, and there is a sequel, I believe. And so I'll definitely be getting that because I really enjoyed it. It was nice. So that is all of the book talk I've got for now. I read probably 10 more books than the ones I talked about, but I feel like those are the ones worth talking about. And so I will leave it there. If you enjoyed the book talk, thank you for sticking around. Again, like I'm new to this, and I'm sure that those of you that do partake probably have heard about all those books and they're over talked about and all the things, but whatever. Those are the ones that I read and that I have enjoyed recently. So that is all. I will leave you guys with just like I am thankful for you guys. I'm thankful for this community, thankful for the DMs and the comments and the likes and the subscribes and the follows, and it's just, this whole thing has made me really happy. And I have made lots of friends that I did not think I was going to make, and I don't know why I'm getting emotional, but last year was pretty rough. It was a lot of change, and some things going on in my life, and lots of good stuff too, but this hobby and this community has been really nice. And ew. Okay, I don't know what is happening. Like, I'm gonna ruin my beautiful makeup look, okay? I was trying to give like Maxine from X, if you're a horror fan. I was trying to give that mixed with Pearl with the braids, okay? And I think I did it. Oh my God, I don't know where that came from. Anyways, I'm thankful to all my friends and my family that watch and support and encourage and all of the things. So thank you very much. I hope you have a wonderful day, or the best day that's available to you. I hope you get at least a little bit of stitching done. And yeah, bye guys.